Hey, how's it going, guys? This is Zoltan on the call. Can you give us a quick intro about yourself? How old are you? What do you do?
Yeah, I'm Zoltan. I'm 23. I live in Vancouver and I run a marketing agency and a very niche service in the meta space that we could get into. But I'm currently generating three to $400,000 a month MRR and USD.
Hmm. And are you comfortable sharing details about the business, or would you rather prefer to keep it out?
Yeah, of course, I'm down to share details. So, one of the things that I kind of always mention, and I think one of the things that you posted on your story was that we work with Ty Lopez and Grant Cardone and individuals like that. And so basically, we have a couple different services, but one of our key services is called the Meta Advantage Program. And the way that this formed is pretty wild. So, our original co-founder or original founder of the company, he worked at Meta for about 4 years, like directly inside Meta in San Francisco. And he's been working in the advertising division, and he found a very unique problem, or a not a unique problem, sorry, but a common problem that everyone faces at one point. So if anyone runs ads on Meta, they've probably ran into their ad account being restricted, or they can't run ads for some reason, ads get rejected, all that kind of stuff. And he's like, the Facebook support system is absolute dog shit. Like, anyone that runs ads has complained about it before. And so we found this unique idea to basically become the unofficial Facebook support, where we have connections inside Meta, we have reps that we can talk to. And essentially, we offer an insurance where people sign up for our monthly service and they can run their ads without rejections, or if they get it rejected, we recover it. And it also targets a very specific industry in the gray hat market, which is still illegal, of course, like running CBD and stuff. But there's so many compliance issues and things that you have to be aware of in order to run it properly. And people just don't have the time for that or the knowledge in order to get around these restrictions. So that's kind of where we come in.
Yeah, and it's definitely a big deal, especially for those making a lot of money. Like Ty Lopez, for example, that you're working for. Can you give us a rundown of how you met Ty Lopez, how you began working for him? That's like crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. So there have been other people that we worked with before Ty Lopez that were big names. So we worked with Grant Cardone. We currently also work with Dan Bilzerian. So some controversial people, but they're pretty big names to be able to say that you work with them. But with Ty Lopez and Grant Cardone and all these guys, honestly, it's all been through referrals. And so when we signed one like relatively big name in the financial publishing space, who not many people know of, and I can't drop the name for that, he referred us to, or referred Ty Lopez to us through just like a simple email. We hopped on the call with him and kind of showed him what we did. And one of the really great things about our CEO is that he's also a really, really good and genuine salesperson. And so when you show off that kind of genuine authenticity in these calls, it just attracts a general likeness to you as a person. And so it enabled more trust, and he really liked that. And so we were able to develop a really good relationship right off the bat, and then tried the program out with him. And he was like, we have some crazy case studies as well that I would show like on a sales call, where he's just like saying, dude, are you best friends with Zuckerberg himself? Like, how are you able to do this? Like, we're just able to get these crazy issues fixed in a relatively quick time that they just want to stay on because, of course, like the people in these markets, biz op and all that kind of stuff, it's still regulated and they're always going to have these issues. So we're always here to help them out with it.
Wait, so you mainly work in biz op, these kind of high risk niches?
It's definitely more catered to that. We kind of switched our positioning to be more focused on these brands because those are the people that have the biggest pain points. And so it's BizOp, like people running crypto offers. We have people in financial publishing, CBD, cannabis, weight loss supplements, anything like that is considered a risk on Meta, or just people that have issues in general running ads or can't get up and running. Like, we're here for them. Yeah.
And yeah, I guess it's like you have your first client, and from there, like if they like it, it's pretty easy. Just like
Dude,
telling up about it.
yeah, I mean, honestly, from 10,000 MRR up until 100, every single client has been through referrals. We didn't run email marketing, we didn't run paid media, anything like that. It's literally just been through referrals because the service is so successful and the offer is so hot that people just want to bring in other friends or connections that they have with the same issue, and they know that they're in good hands. And so, like, speaking of that, I mean, about a month ago or something, Ty's team actually invited me and my co-founders to the Ty Lopez event where he has like this mansion party and mastermind in LA. We didn't have to pay anything for it. We were just invited to be there, and we actually spoke on stage, and we have that recording too.
Hmm. Is this where he was trying to get referrals? I guess like maybe
Yeah.
he could, but if he could refer other people to you.
Yeah, basically. And that's a program that we literally just had a meeting about today to start working on this because during that event, it's kind of a mastermind where everyone kind of sits in a room, and then you have multiple guest speakers, and then Ty Lopez himself coming on stage and speaking and giving advice and working out issues that people may have in their business. And then, at the end, sell people into the Ty Lopez program and that coaching. But we actually got pulled aside to like a private meeting just in the back patio with the pools, and we were just talking with him and his team about the potential of referrals. And him and his team see like a lot of value because a lot of the people in the program are running in the same niche, and they're going to most likely have some of the issues that they face. So what would be the best way to essentially refer a lot of their clientele to us? And so we're working out a percentage. We've already had a couple calls with some really, really high key players in the game. So we're just working out on finalizing a couple deals here, and it could be big for us.
Yeah, that's the perfect type of marketing. That's
Yeah.
awesome. It seems like past few days you've been, saying in the chat like I just signed this new client, this new like you've been having so many, so that's awesome. There
It's
those
crazy. Yeah, I mean the growth, like this program started about a year and a half ago. Um, and it started out at about 20,000 in MRR. And right now, this month, we touched 400. So the growth has just been insane. It's been like exponential. As you gain more customers, you gain more referrals. Obviously, that just keeps branching out into like a bigger and bigger network. But it's crazy what you can do with like a network and a really good service. And I think one of the main things is like we found an offer that is really hot in the sense that it has a big pain point attached to it. And so if you're solving a really big pain point that people have struggled with for years and years, I mean, it's kind of hard not to sell. It kind of sells itself almost.
Yeah, that makes sense. How do you make your first sale? I guess you guys probably had like a good network and had your first client. Like, could you ex describe how that worked? Because I imagine the beginning is the hardest.
Yeah, the beginning is definitely the hardest. I'll actually give you a background into how I started with these guys. So I have two co-founders. The original founder, his name is Jacob, and the co-founder that was brought on at the same time as me, his name is Misha. And so Jacob was running this kind of system solo, and he had some other business partners that they were trying to get this off the ground with. And I was working at another marketing agency in Vancouver at the time, but I was also looking for more opportunity for growth because in the position that I was in, just wasn't seeing it for a while. And so I I was actually doing a remote closing gig on the side. And this remote closing gig was kind of for a Ty Lopez offer, which was, just selling a mentorship or a consulting program. And usually, a lot of these mentorships are targeted towards people that are younger, just starting out. They want to know how to get really into this space around the age of like 17 to 20, 21 year olds. And so when I'm hopping on these sales calls, I do a little bit of prep. I look at the website that they have or the information that they fill out in the onboard in the lead form, to prep myself for the call. And then I look at this specific call that I have with Jacob, and I look at the website, and I'm like, holy shit! Like, these guys have their website dialed. It is like a proper creative agency. These guys are probably doing $1 million a month or something like that. And so I hop on the call, and I start selling to not Jacob, but one of their sales managers or another business partner. And it goes pretty well. Like, I get them super interested. We have a follow-up call booked because I wasn't talking to the main decision makers, so I couldn't get payment. And we schedule another call. I hop on that other call, and then the sales manager hops off. Two founders are on there, including Jacob. And one of them was like, dude, I just wanted to say, like, your sales skills are so impressive. I made the sales manager watch this call back on how you were selling it to him and make him learn from that. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. We continue to go through the sale. I sell him on the service. And then they ask, we love what you do. And we haven't even been in the program. Is there any other capacity that you work with on for other people in contracting basis or whatever, right? So I agree, and I sign a contract for like a contracting role, 3,000 USD per month. And my main focus and my strong suit is actually operations and business management. So I learned a lot through sales. That's where I started. But where I really shine is going to be the operations and like team leadership, all that kind of stuff. So I do that with them on this program, Meta Advantage, which is what I'm working on now. And it was seeing some success. It was hitting like 10K a month, whatever, but the leadership level was kind of falling apart. There wasn't really any good structure. And so Jacob comes to me and says like, hey, I unfortunately can't afford to pay you this 3K right now. The program isn't doing too well. So let me be in touch with you over the next 3 months and see if we can bring you back in. I was like, okay, sure. So I go back to my agency work, doing that still full time, some closing on the side. And then I reach out in 2 months to Jacob and I'm like, hey, like, how are things going? He's like, not really sure. Like, don't know if we can still keep you on in the next month. No promises, nothing like that. And because of the opportunity that I saw in the program itself, I was like willing to take a bit of a risk. So I told him, hey, instead of just giving me a flat rate, how about you just pay me a percentage of the revenue, or you just pay me a rate that makes sense for now, and then we can talk about it in the future and renegotiate when we're actually doing well. Because I was so confident in the offer, like, we can definitely, make things work, and I actually want to be able to help grow it. So fast forward to now, after making that leap and being able to like help out as much as I can on the side, it became my full-time thing. I'm officially, with contract signed and everything, part owner of the business with equity and everything, and now we're just like really full-time trying to scale this thing. And so that's a long explanation to your initial question, but like, I think from my experience with sales and like starting my own agency and everything, which you can go back to later, I think the main thing is just doing a bunch of outreach or whatever your method is to get leads, very personalized. Like, the mass DMing method has worked for a while, but it's so oversaturated now in almost every niche. Like, you're going to get the same reply. Like, every single person seeing this email is going to know it's automated unless you're sending like a Loom video or something that's very personal to them and their website. And I actually found that when split testing, 10,000 emails, general, personalized first line to their business versus a full custom like Loom video, we were getting way better results and able to close. It might not seem like a lot, but out of 200 personalized messages, closing 2 deals, 10K a month per deal, versus 10,000 messages and having like 0.5% positive reply rate, no appointments bookings, no deals closed. So I think it's that for the appointment setting side, and then on the sales side is just not using a script, to be honest. You need to understand the general methodology of sales, which is like, how do you build rapport with a person? How do you give them all the information that they need? And then obviously, how do you close things and move forward? You need to follow that subconscious theory in your mind, but you can't follow a script, because I've seen all the salesperson people, and you've probably seen it on videos or like on a call yourself, where people are like, hey, by the way, I only have 50 minutes for this call, and then I have to jump to another call. So is it cool if we jump right into things? And then you jump into things, and then you're like, okay, great. So tell me what motivated you to hop on this call today? You know, that standard script. I would stray away from that as far as possible. And really good salespeople focus on relationship building. Don't cut yourself short to rapport unless it's like half of the sales call. But like even then, like building rapport with someone is so important. I was at a couple masterminds, and one of the key things that really struck me was like this guy had a genuine conversation with a prospect for his landscaping company. Okay, the prospect, who lives in California, 2 weeks later wasn't able to work with the guy who owns the landscaping company because his house burned down. And unfortunately, the guy's wife died. But then this owner of the landscaping businesses actually showed up to his wife's funeral. He was like invited, of course, and just sat there and like gave his condolences and was focused solely on that relationship building. And after really being there for the guy and like caring for him, then he was able to close like more than just one deal for that guy. It turns out he actually owns like a property development business, and then he was able to close like multiple deals and a big like referral network with that guy. So I'm not saying you have to go to the extent of going to someone's wife's funeral and stuff like that, but it's about showing the care and really trying to focus that relationship building, because people can tell if you're fake or not.
Yeah, that makes sense. Did you start off doing sales with Ty Lopez, or were you like doing it beforehand? It seems like you must have started somewhere, right? And you build a lot of practice, talk to a lot of people, and then you become good at it. So what was like your progress like that?
Yeah, so I think it's been about 4 years now when I first started, and it was very on and off for the first 1 to 2 years. I knew I wanted to get into the entrepreneurship space, mostly because I saw one of those YouTube videos by a guru being like how to make 10,000 a month in dropshipping. And then I was like, oh shit, this looks great. I can get that time freedom, financial freedom, all that kind of stuff. So I looked into dropshipping first. I tried to build a couple of stores. They all failed, and it was on and off, build a store for a week, run ads for a week, or try to do organic content for a week, and then give up because you're frustrated, and then come back to it after a month, and then keep trying. And so that was like at the start of the year in January 4 years ago. In December, I saw success in dropshipping and made money for the first time in entrepreneurship. And that was because I was selling like a seasonal product, like these special Christmas lights with like an LED remote. And so I made
Hmm.
10,000 in profit from that, and was like, oh shit, like I can actually do this. This is so motivational. What can I do this again with another store, because this one was seasonal, right? So I go try some other products, still not able to see success. I don't have the formula. I don't really know what I'm doing wrong. And so that's when I get my first mentorship. And so I actually used that money that I made and bought a mentorship for about 3,000 US from a guy in Canada, other side of the world in Toronto. He is still a good friend of mine, and I still keep in touch with him. And he actually is the one that made me pivot to the marketing agency model. And he was like, yo, like dropshipping is great, but honestly, like I started a marketing agency on the side, and it's absolutely printing. I can give you all the resources and details that I use for mine. I was like, great, let's do it. And so I start trying my own marketing agency. At the same time, one of my best friends in real life that I went to high school with wanted to get into the game, and I was like putting him on. but we both had such different motivations and motivating factors. And at the same time, we were not like both focused on the same goal and not like super dialed in together. So it kind of fell through after a couple months, and unfortunately, we're not actually friends anymore. So business, can ruin some friendships, but you learn a lot from it. And so after that, the marketing agency failed. So I had to figure out if I wanted to go back to dropshipping or whatever the case was. And then I got into remote sales because I realized that that is kind of like a marketing agency where you take sales calls still. It's really fun. You can make a lot of money and you don't have to worry about fulfillment. And so I started basically just following a bunch of influencers on Instagram that have these types of mentorships or these agencies that need salespeople. And so I followed them, and then eventually one of them was actually posting a hiring post on their Instagram story, and I replied to that and filled it all out. Now, at the time, and hopefully he's not watching this video, I was basically bullshitting my way through the whole thing.
Yeah.
But he gave me a chance from me filling out that form and a quick conversation on IG. I hopped on a call with him, and from all the books that I read, YouTube videos that I watched, and everything, I was trying to implement the sales methodologies that I learned on that call. Even though it's an interview, I'm still trying to show my sales skills to him. And he caught on to that. Like halfway through the call, he was like, okay, this is great. I just want to let you know I'm reviewing a couple other salespeople for the role. And then I was like, okay, great. Yeah, that's totally understandable. I mean, you're starting an interview process. Just curious, like, how are those other salespeople performing, or how do you think they are compared to me? And then like I was digging deeper and trying to identify, what would make him choose me over like the other salespeople, as if he's choosing a product and a service compared to a competitor, and then figuring out what those pain points are with those other salespeople, and then explaining why I'm better. At the end of the call, he was like, "Dude, are you trying to close me right now on an interview?" And I was like, maybe. And then after that, we basically just started working together, and then that's kind of how I got into sales, and we crushed it on the offer. He wanted to meet up where he was in Marbella at the time and do some work sessions. I wasn't able to, unfortunately, but we were starting to do really good. And I mean, I was collecting some really good commissions for my first time really starting to make consistent revenue in entrepreneurship and for my age. So I was really happy about that.
Wow. And do you mind sharing who this person is? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so his name is Arturo Duarte. He is now doing something else in terms of like a proper agency model, but he has ran a very successful coaching program for people on how to start an agency. He works his ass off to like provide results for his clients, and he's really dedicated. Like I see him grinding 24/7, which is always a really good motivating factor for me as a salesperson to believe in the product and service that I'm selling. He has about 100 or 350k followers on like Instagram or something. Pretty successful guy. Nothing but good things to say about him, honestly.
Yeah. And you're closing sales for him. I'm curious, like how many calls were you doing like per week, and like how much you were making at that point?
Yeah, so I was there was a bit of a lead qualification issue.
Uh-huh.
So we had, I don't know what it was with the targeting of the ads or whatever the case is, but like 60, 70% of these leads were like unqualified. And um, it was just like people making like, they fill out the form. And it's so funny because when you have these two fields that say like, one, what is your monthly revenue right now? Don't book if you're under 5,000 a month. People
Oh,
still book if it's
so
under. Yeah.
yeah,
People no, people still also will choose like 0 to 5,000 and then still book.
really.
And then it's
Oh,
like the other question is, if you're not comfortable investing $5,000 or something, or like, are you comfortable investing $5,000 in brackets? Don't book if you aren't. And then people say no, and then they still book, and it's like, bro, like, what am I doing? But in terms of volume, it would be about 6 to 8 sales calls per day. And we're talking about, 30% of that being qualified. So let's say 1 to 2 actual qualified calls per day. My close rate was about 25-30%.
It's pretty good.
Fairly good for initially starting out.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And so this is like out of all people probably, or like even including those who are unqualified.
Y- yes, yes.
Okay, wow.
So,
And you're doing amazing.
oh
You're doing
wait,
amazing.
no, sorry, no, it wasn't. I was counting the people that were qualified.
Well,
I
we're
wish
qualified. Yeah, that's still
I,
amazing. That's still amazing
yeah,
when you're speaking about.
yeah.
Wait,
I'm still,
oh
sorry, go
yeah, yeah.
ahead.
Uh, so you started doing closing for the new for Jacob and the Facebook team, right? Or you started closing and then you're more towards operations now. I'm curious
No,
what you're
no,
doing.
actually, yeah, that's a really good question. So, um, there was another thing, like I mentioned, I was doing the sales stuff at
Hmm.
this for Arturo, but then I mentioned that there was another agency that I was working for. So you'll see from like my story a lot of the times, like I'm doing two things at once because I'm like trying to learn as quickly as possible or like trying to make more money that sustains like my lifestyle or where I want to be, and I just don't see growth in certain aspects. So while I was doing the sales stuff for Arturo, I was also doing sales initially for another agency in Vancouver. And that agency is called Flax Labs. They're an e-commerce marketing agency. The owner, his name's Zach. Zach is probably one of the smartest people that I've ever met before, and I highly look up to this guy. He's one of those guys that it's almost like intimidating to stand in the room with him because like this guy's like thinking 1,000 different things per second, and you're just like,
Judging everything that you're thinking.
right, and I'm just like, holy shit, dude, it's crazy. And the guy's a year younger than me too, and he's been in the game since he was 16 and making really good money, and now he's developing a software himself, getting funding. He's already gone through, I think, one of the series of fundings for his startup. So like he's absolutely killing it. But he was another guy I followed, and he posted on his Instagram that he was looking for appointment setters. And so I was like, okay, great, more ways for me to improve my sales skills. And I basically just hit him up and told him, hey, like, I'm super interested in it. I'm from Vancouver. And then he's like, oh shit, you're from Vancouver. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, what are the odds you can meet me tomorrow 5 p.m. at my apartment? I was like, sure, let's do it. I'm always like going in for the risks or opportunities, so I'm taking it. And so I drive to his place, and he gives me his address, and I'm looking at the address, and if you know Vancouver, like you look at this apartment address and you're like, oh shit, like this guy's a fucking baller. Like he is living in one of the most expensive apartments in the city. And he's like texting me the address. I look at it. Okay, let's go. I park on the street, go to the door with the buzzer of the apartment. I'm asking him what's the unit number or whatever. And he's like, on the 53rd floor, by the way. And I was like, okay, sick. So I'm hella intimidated because I'm like, still starting entrepreneurship. This guy's like rich. I got to make a good impression. I want to work with this guy. So we go, we go meet at the front door of his apartment. Like I took the elevator up, and he's asking me a couple questions, just like, how are you, whatever. And then takes me to the living room. Super nice apartment. Like you have the best view ever. It's like I'm just like kind of shocked, and this is normal for him because he's been living here for a while. And then he asked me, by the way, do you want the chef to make you anything? And I was like, bro, what? Like you have a private chef too? I'm like, holy shit, like I gotta work with this guy.
Yeah.
um so anyways, we start talking. I agree to basically work with him. He had a couple concerns about me, starting to try to do my own thing and like running my own agency because obviously I might not be able to dedicate all the time in the world to his agency, which is what he needs. But I kind of started to really do that in the appointment setting role. So we started to work together on a very low, like minimum wage, or even in a contracting sense, below minimum wage rate. But it was just for the experience, and it was for a contract role. It wasn't like fully full time. So I started doing appointment setting. I'm going into like his pipeline responding to leads, doing everything to the best of my ability, basically. And he starts to notice that pretty quickly. Like I start to improve systems by myself. Like I take the initiative to do more than my actual role requires. And I don't take sales calls, but I'm just like helping this closers close, follow up with leads, whatever the case is. I even start to build some like organization systems and processes for like sales teams to follow. And he's like, oh, dude, like, this is great. I really want to have you on like for a full time like role. And so we have a conversation where I'm basically brought on as more of an operations role in one of the divisions in the agency. And so we're working together for a while. I basically unofficially take on the COO role of one of the departments in this agency, which offers like a YouTube service, which is in like e-commerce paid media. It's like a YouTube service for info product, basically. And I was doing that for a while. And then in the meantime, I'm still here and there taking sales calls for Arturo and, trying to juggle both. The operation stuff really takes a lot of the toll on my work capacity, but I'm learning a lot. And then I really just find out like my strongest core strength is going to be the operations and building systems and building teams and managing teams and like leading the growth of the company. And so you need an aspect and understanding of each part of the business, right? Like you need to know sales if you're running an agency. You need to know the operations. You need to know everything, because if you're trying to hire someone else to fulfill that role before you know how to actually do it, then it's gonna make you rely on other people and you're not gonna be able to like understand how to scale properly.
It seems like operations is a lot about handling people, being good with people, which is very similar to sales, right? So it must have carried over a lot of being good with people, operations.
I
And then
think
it go into the
sales, yeah, I think sales is one of the most valuable skills that you can learn in general. Like whether it's you're going into sales for business or running operations, like just the core aspect of the sales skills in terms of communication and relationship building, like that's used universally, right? Whether it's with friends and family, actual relationship, anything. It's just like such an important thing to be able to communicate and coordinate what you want and how you want to get it properly.
Yeah. Do you know what I was saying yesterday? I was hosting a live webinar. I was saying that, okay, if you're good at closing sales in business, then you'll be good at basically getting girls, basically. It's like it goes
Yeah.
hand in hand. If
Yeah.
you know one, you'll be good at the other. At the end of the day, it's just like, being like a cool person, like being able to talk, being able to convince, understanding like what they're thinking, kind of like understanding how what you say like basically impacts them. So yeah, I mean, it seems like you're pretty good with girls too. I was scrolling to grab your story. I was like, oh, damn.
Dude, I'm gonna post it. I can't post this podcast on my story anymore. Everyone's gonna know. Just
Oh no, no,
kidding.
no, like, okay, I'll blur,
No,
I'll
no,
blur it out.
I'm just kidding. It's okay. It's okay. You can keep it. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's good. It's good in general. Like, um, yeah, relationships, making friends, like even just the networking aspect too of business. Like, if you can talk to someone like well and just like make them like you to an extent and like match their energy, dude, sales is just like the best thing ever. But
Yeah,
even though I like operations a shit ton, I can't deny how good sales is, man.
yeah. It seems like you got pretty lucky buying that 3K mentorship and you start learning sales, and that becomes the core fundamental um thing to your business. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
awesome.
mean, what are your thoughts on mentorship?
Um, mentorships, I think it's great. Like if you choose the right person,
Yeah,
and if you know what you're getting, expectations are straight and it's met. Um, of course, make sure that the person that you buy from actually has credible, testimonials. So not just like normal testimonials, but like actually a full-on interview with the student. They're describing everything that they did, and their story and their problems, how they overcame it, how much they're making, like full transparency and honesty. If they have like a lot of those like successful clients, then I think it's great. Like in that case, you can basically understand what you have for yourself when you buy that mentorship. Of course, it's just difficult to find those kinds of people. Like those people who are able to provide great mentorships generally don't market themselves versus a lot of like gurus will like to market themselves. So of course it's difficult to find, but yeah, like sales is crazy. It's crazy. It's just like talk to a lot of people and you become good at it. You become good at, how do I say this? You're able to get what you're able to create win-win circumstances within yourself and with everyone. So, I think it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Dude,
Um
you know what's funny also on the aspect of sales, like and getting girls, when I was at the Ty Lopez event and we
yeah,
had the like party section afterwards, which is kind of just like a networking event with drinks.
yeah.
Ty Lopez like came and gave a speech, and the whole speech, and I was actually in the reel that he posted about it, which was so funny, but he was basically just talking about like guys getting girls and like how to get girls. And
Yeah.
he's basically explaining how the sales tactics kind of relate to getting girls and like being confident and all that kind of stuff. So it's so funny. It's so true though.
No. I
Did you?
guess it's similar like that. I
Yeah,
mean, every salesperson does agree though. It's just like, oh, what do you say?
I was just gonna say, if you were to guess how I'm talking right now, do you think like in general through my whole life I was an introvert or extrovert, or like do you think it switched to a certain?
Like, I would yeah, like, you're definitely good at talking, but just from the vibe that you give off, probably an introvert if I had to guess. Yeah.
Okay. I
Yeah.
mean, I do like my close group of friends, but when up until high school before I started entrepreneurship, I was a full introvert. Like I was a degenerate League of Legends
hmm
player that would play the game like 24/7 in the mom's basement type of deal.
hmm
And then I don't know how exactly I made it or where I found like the motivation to just like switch that up, but
Yeah.
it kind of happened within like a couple months where I just started making friends, watching these videos on YouTube, whatever, trying to like explore being an extrovert more and like talking to more people, and that really helped with my confidence. And so now I would say I am more of an extrovert, except for like with my friend group, like I like a close group of friends per se, but like I think you need to be in most cases an extrovert if you want to be a really successful entrepreneur. Like you need to maybe not like full extrovert, but you need to like understand the aspect of communication and how you need to be open and talk to a lot of people if you want to really boost your chance of success.
hmm Yeah, I can relate to that because most days I don't want to talk to anyone. I just want to be in my room alone. I don't want to talk to
Yeah.
anyone. I still like tell myself, okay, you have to talk to 100 people today, or like you have to get on like 8 calls today with like clients or something like that. So, I understand what you mean. And it seems like you're building the foundation of, well, simply put, the biggest factor to what made you successful was talking to people, building these connections. So you're building all that foundation through high school. It's like you're building that, 400K per month foundation in high school, which is, crazy to think about. It's,
Yeah, for sure. When I was playing League.
yeah.
No, I do agree though. I think what you said is really accurate. I every single opportunity that I got that made me really successful, whether it was the mentorship, the appointment setter position, this closer position, and even like the position that I have now, is all through building relationships with people and like trying to go out of my way and communicate and like apply for things. And it's so cliche, but people always say the network equals net worth type of thing. And even though I don't like using that phrase specifically, it's so true. Like you just have so many doors open because you have the right people that you're connecting with that you wouldn't be able to do through working a job or just like not talking to people. Like that opportunity just wouldn't present itself and come to you.
Yeah. And speaking of networking, honestly, I'm curious of how you got into the order.
Yeah, that's wild. You know that when I was starting my business, the marketing agency with my best friend in high school, we were basically doing outreach, cold email, cold DMs on Instagram. And so my business partner actually reached out to Sebastian, which is the owner of the order, and we convinced him, or he convinced him to hop on a sales call, and we were trying to sell him. But he's looking at us and he sees us and he's like, these are two young dudes. They definitely just started in SMMA. You know, like they don't have the experience that they're putting themselves out to be as. So he still liked our hustle and most importantly, the relationship that we were building on that call. And we're also same ethnicity, like Sebastian and I. He's part Hungarian. I'm full Hungarian. So we were just like relating off of that. And he's like, okay, I'll give you guys a chance. Like, let's basically do content. Like, you guys create content for me on social media. I'll give you guys like a percentage of the sale or whatever. And that's usually how it would work. We did that for a little bit, or like we agreed to do it, but didn't really continue with it for long. Then Braden and I, we kind of separated, which is my high school best friend, and I still kept in touch with Sebastian. Did like a month of like creating content for him for a couple $100s, just like here and there. And then he saw me scaling and my entrepreneurship journey and me progressing as a person on Instagram and social media. And then as he created the order, he kind of just thought I would be a good fit, and he reached out and asked me if I wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's pretty solid.
Yeah, we've
And
known each other for
I'm
probably
curious,
like
what?
we've known each other for probably like 4 years. And yeah, it's always just been like us like randomly texting each other, sending each other reels like on Instagram. It's always just like little things here, but then we've really
I
gotten
like
close
that.
once the order became a thing.
Yeah, interesting. I like how you can like texting, you need a reason to text, but if it's like reels, you can just like send for no reason. It's like super fun.
Yeah,
You can like be active and like talking without, having like a reason to talk. It's just like funny. It's like good vibes.
100%, dude. I think if yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, no, you go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I think it's a really good way to build a relationship as well, is if you can add the person's Instagram and just like start talking the shit. You know, you don't always have to do everything about business. Ask them personal questions.
Yeah.
Send them reels. Like that's what I did with Sebastian. That's what I did with a couple other people. And just one other thing
Uh-huh.
I'll add to that is like one thing that I learned on the sales call, you know, going back to how I said I don't like that traditional sales script or whatever.
Yeah.
So there was one time when I was reviewing sales calls with um, the owner of the marketing agency in Vancouver, and he pointed out how shit our rapport building was, where we were asking, where are you from? How's the weather? Like all that basic ass question that everyone asks. And he's like, dude, I would kill myself if I was the client, like, or the prospect listening to this. Um,
Yeah.
you know, like, how can we do this differently, right? So he's like, he basically, this is an example, but on a sales call, this guy had this dog just laying in the background, right? Cam isn't blurred, so you can see it on the background, just like on the couch. Dog wasn't moving, and so like the salesperson was like, dude, is your dog like dead? Is he okay? And then like the guy just started laughing, like, no, no, like, you know, like he's just chilling. The weather's like so hot. And he's like, oh, what's his name? And then just asking questions on top of that initial conversation starter and like going deeper to like show you kind of care. But it's also really funny because it's like you're just like being super out there and being like, instead of is your dog okay, or like, oh, that's a cute dog, whatever, it's just like, dude, is that dog okay, man? Like, is it dead? It's not moving, you know, trying to make it funny too.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the same with the girl. It wouldn't be like, hey, like nice weather. Like it would be awkward. Like following a script, like, like what job are you working? Like, what are you like? You'd rather just have fun with it. Be smooth, have a good
Yeah,
time,
we
build a
were making
relationship.
fun of my buddy because Not too long ago, we went out to celebrate a friend's birthday, and it was like a club slash bar, and we all were with like our friends, and there was this one guy that was interested in this girl, and she was like interested in him. So they go off together. They like start dancing. They're in their own group, whatever, and he just all of a sudden he leaves and like she leaves to go like opposite directions, and then we go outside to like talk about what happened because I'm curious, like, bro, it looked good, like you guys were dancing together. It's like, bro, I shouldn't have fucking talked like to her at all and just kept dancing. And I'm like, what did you say, man? And he's like, he's from California, by the way, and he was here in Vancouver, and he's like, uh so do you go to school around here? And I was like, bro, what? That is like the most basic shit. Like that is, oh my god, I feel bad for her, bro. We were making fun of him the whole night.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, you
Yeah.
can't do basic ass stuff like that. Like it's just so boring and like weird. Yeah.
No, that's funny. I guess like going back to the business you're building, it seems like you're having a really good time building it, talking to a lot of people. You have a great network. Um, yeah. And I was wondering like what your, I guess like what do you see as the vision for the next few months or the next few years for yourself in your business?
Yeah, it's a good question. So with my partners, we have meetings every day, and it's for an hour, and we usually talk about what's happening right now in the company, like immediate fires that we may need to put out or things that we need to pay attention to and do. And then just like usually every couple of these meetings, we look at our bookkeeping, and our CFO, Misha, he is currently in charge of the bookkeeping, and he does like a really good job of organizing things and also forecasting and projecting what we're going to make if we're at X growth rate every month, or like what our current trends are, like profitability, revenue, all that kind of stuff. And so we just had a conversation here, like we're at 300, now 400K a month, and we've been at this for about 3 months. What what can we do to get to that next level? What can we do to make a move and 10x our reward, right? And I think this is a point where when you plateau with a business or you're reaching a peak where you're seeming to have some struggles, like this is where consultants can be useful, or like people that you bring in that can give advice or become a board of director or whatever the case is. So we had a conversation and we're like, okay, our next goal, we want to be at 600K a month and then a million a month. And we want to do that relatively quick because in the past year and a half, we went from 20K a month to 400K. We can definitely get to 600K or a million. We just need to know how to get there. And quite frankly, we haven't been there before. So it would be better if you learn from someone who's done it once or at least multiple times to tell you what you need to do to get there. So now we're in the process of reaching out to a couple people. Jacob is really well connected as well with people who have made very successful exits and scaled companies. So we're setting up some meetings and essentially seeing if we can bring on some people to consult for us or become some fractional like CMO or whatever the term is, for a little bit of a stake in the company, because like consulting is great. You can pay someone for a monthly flat rate for their consulting, but again, at the end of the day, they're not the most incentivized if they don't have a stake in the company, skin in the game, right? So we can give them a rate plus like a percentage of some sort, and then if we can really scale, they're also going to reap that rewards, and they won't necessarily have to do much consulting once we become more and more successful. They're kind of like giving advice here and there, and then once we exit, they get a portion of the rewards, which is going to be very big.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan. Everything, you guys are pretty organized. You're in charge of the operations the system, so it seems like you're doing pretty well with this. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you have a meeting to go to probably soon, so if you want to drop your Instagram, what is your Instagram?
Yeah, my Instagram is Zoltan Ecom. So Zoltan Ecom right at the end. Um,
I'll just put a picture right here or something so that people can see.
Sick. I gotta start making some content too, dude. That's gonna be the next step in the, next year or two, become a guru. Just kidding.
Yes, sir. Start selling courses.
Start
How
selling
I
my
make
course.
100K per month. You buy my course for 10K or something.
My honest goal is like maybe in the future, like I will sell a course, but ideally the content style that I'm creating is not just some like how to start an agency. Our goal actually, and we've talked about this before I go, as a company, we talked about how each of us as leaders, us three leaders, work super well together because we have our own areas of expertise. I'm
Mhm.
operations. Jacob is like leadership, like sales and like company direction. And then Misha is like financials and like creative and marketing. And so like we all have our own like powerhouse field that we're really good at. And then they really complement each other. So what if we all started creating our own content focused around each one of those fields? And so I would be focusing on how to operationalize and like make your agency more profitable, right? Like
Mhm.
everyone talks about how to scale your agency to X amount, right? And that's really good. But I want to target and give value to people that are actually running a company and want to streamline their processes, make it more profitable and more efficient. So that's going to be
Like
a
a
step down the road.
consulting. Honestly,
Yeah,
that's great because they have a more higher chance of succeeding, and it's a perfect fit. And plus, you can like charge a lot higher ticket for those kind of people for sure, and like have them succeed, and you can have equity. So yeah, it sounds like it'll work perfect. Yeah,
totally.
I think
Thanks.
yeah, you'll probably have to get going soon. So that's it for
Yeah.
the pod. Let's end it here.